This week,
there's a whole lot of things we've got to focus on. Affordability is top of mind for a whole lot of folks right now.
Overall, the affordability crisis is impacting all communities across the 7th District.
In a matter of days, voters will choose the next congressman for the 7th Congressional District. It will either be Democrat Aftyn Behn.
This race has been about building the coalition of people who are upset with what's going on, and I hear more from those voters than I do those that are, doubling down on their position with President Trump.
Or Republican Matt Van Epps.
We're going to drive forward, ensure that we drive down costs for Tennesseans, that we support our families, our farmers, military veterans, small businesses.
Tonight, you will meet them both. Hello again and welcome to another edition of This Week. Early voting is underway and Election Day is just around the corner. December 2nd, voters will head to the polls for a special election to fill the empty 7th District congressional seat. Newly re-elected Republican Congressman Mark Green unexpectedly resigned from the seat last summer to take a private job. Tonight, we take a look at how we got here and who is in the running to become the new 7th District congressional representative. When newly re-elected 7th District Congressman Mark Green suddenly resigned to go to work for an undisclosed private business, it left the congressional seat open. A field of 11 candidates jumped in the race. The primary produced two winners, Democrat Aftyn Behn and Republican Matt Van Epps. They could not be more different. Behn is a progressive Democrat, a healthcare community organizer for the Tennessee Justice Center. What do you see as your priority for the 7th Congressional District?
Addressing the rising cost of living. It is the #1 issue at voters' minds nonstop.
Behn won a seat in the State House in 2023 during a special election to fill the seat of District 51 Democrat, 5-term state representative Bill Beck, who passed away. She has strong beliefs on all issues.
I have run on building a coalition of the disenchanted. If you are upset about the rising cost of living, the chaos of Washington, then I'm your candidate.
Her opponent, first-time office seeker Matt Van Epps, a Trump-endorsed MAGA conservative who supports the president 100% without waiver. Do you have any issues with any of the president's positions?
No, I'm fully supportive of the president.
Van Epps, an Army veteran and Afghanistan combat pilot, served as the commissioner of the Department of General Services under Governor Bill Lee, who also endorsed Van Epps.
Drive forward, ensure that we drive down costs for Tennesseans, that we support our families, our farmers, military veterans.
The race will mark a generational change in Tennessee's congressional delegation as a new generation will take a seat, either 42-year-old Republican Matt Van Epps or 35-year-old Democrat Aftyn Behn. Voters decide December 2nd. Well, this is a look at the Tennessee 7th Congressional District. It stretches across Middle Tennessee, from West Tennessee to Middle Tennessee, and north and south from Kentucky to Alabama, including all parts of 14 different counties. Early voting is underway, and right now, and it will continue until Wednesday, November 26th, with Election Day Tuesday, December the 2nd. Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment, and a conversation with Democratic congressional nominee Aftyn Behn and Republican nominee Matt Van Epps. And welcome back to This Week. I am pleased to be joined by Democratic State Representative Aftyn Behn, now the 7th District Congressional Democratic nominee. Welcome. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
I see this race, and I want your opinion, of a changing of the guard of the Tennessee congressional delegation, a new generation, both you and your opponent, a younger generation. With that in mind, what do you see as your priority for the 7th Congressional District?
Addressing the rising cost of living. It is the #1 issue at voters' minds nonstop across the district. Is the crisis of affordability that we are dealing with, and the fact that a Republican trifecta at the federal level has not delivered on their commitment to address the rising cost of living.
This is a huge district. It runs from Alabama to Kentucky, West Tennessee, Central Tennessee, city of Clarksville, parts of Davidson County, Williamson County, very diverse, a lot of rural areas. You have a lot of different needs in there. How do you address those different needs?
Well, I think affordability transcends all demographics and geographies, and so I would argue that there are unique needs that rural communities have, but overall the affordability crisis is impacting all communities across the 7th District.
When you look at the district specifically, is there a particular issue? You talked about affordability. Is that just the override? Is there something else that unites the district and what it needs from you as a representative in Washington?
Wanting affordable health care. I got my start as a community organizer, organizing to ensure affordable health care across the state of Tennessee. There are working families that use the subsidies on the Affordable Care Act, and they are struggling, and they're concerned that without these subsidies, their premiums will triple, quadruple perhaps, and they will have to choose between groceries or their health care.
That was my next question, because so far the Republicans have refused to expand the health care subsidies. At least 70,000 and more than almost 1 million Tennesseans are on the Affordable Care Act. They're all going to see their rates increase. As a single member of Congress, if you win, how do you help them? How do you change that? How do you convince Congress these subsidies need to be expanded?
There is a growing coalition and chorus in Congress of representatives who want to ensure that these subsidies remain. And I think as Tennessee families receive these letters indicating that their premiums are going up, they are realizing that this election for the 7th Congressional District is the one vehicle in which they can voice their frustration and concerns.
There is some opposition saying that these were intended only because COVID happened, but what happened was once they were in place, it made the Affordable Care Act, the coverage, affordable. Without them, it becomes skyrocketing expensive.
Correct.
The race between you and your opponent. Tennessee, as you know, strong Republican state, Republican congressional district, 7 of 8 seats are Republican, or 8 of 9 seats are Republican. Supermajority, both houses, both senators, both Republicans. Yet, Cook Political has put this race, moved it from safe Republican, solid Republican to lean Republican. A couple of other interesting things. Some outside money was put in to call Republican voters to get them to the polls. And President Trump, who has endorsed your opponent, held a teleconference to move people forward. There's some concern in Washington. I've seen numbers have this race as close as 7% in a district that Trump won by 22 points. Do those signs give you hope in a state where you obviously are the underdog?
Absolutely. And to provide some context for your those watching, we had a consolidated Democratic district. It was cut up into 3. And if you remember correctly, Representative Mark Green, the former congressman for the district, said, do not do this. Do not cut up this district because you are going to overreach. They pulled some of the highest voting turnout precincts in Davidson County. It includes Montgomery County, which is a purple county in politics in Tennessee. And Democrats have the momentum on their side. You saw that 2 weeks ago with the elections in New Jersey and Virginia. The candidates that were talking about affordability won. And on the heels of that, I think we're bringing a lot of hope to the state, and the race is a lot closer than expected.
It would be hard for someone to say undecided when you look at the 2 candidates in this race. You're a progressive Democrat. He's endorsed by Trump. He's a MAGA Republican. Obviously, 2 different sides of the coin. For you to win, you have to convince some of those Republicans who likely voted for President Trump that it's better for you to go to Washington to put a check on him. How do you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, we can send another Republican that contributed to this mess and to go. We have a broken system in Washington, and to send another person of the same party to fix it just doesn't work. I have run on building a coalition of the disenchanted. If you are upset about the rising cost of living, the chaos of Washington, then I'm your candidate. We don't want to send someone from that system to go up there and attempt to fix it.
Tennessee, sadly, has a terrible voting record. It does not turn out for elections, even much less special elections like this one. It's going to be likely a small voter turnout. How do you convince folks to get to the polls that this is necessary? Even if they vote for the opponent in there, how do you get folks to engage, to come to the polls in 2 more weeks?
One, I had the highest total voter turnout of any Democratic state rep in the 2024 cycle, so I know how to turn out my voters, right? And this is a mobilization game. And 2, this election and this race is a matter of life and death for Tennesseans. It is a matter of life and death for Tennesseans on TennCare, our state Medicaid program. It's a matter of life and death for those receiving SNAP benefits and to buy their groceries. It feels like things are falling apart, costs are rising, and this is a race in which if you want someone who will fight for the district and not the special interest corporate donors, then I am your candidate.
Do you think Tennessee voters are looking at the issues in this race, or is this going to be a race decided by I support Trump or I don't support Trump? Is it a national election?
It's a great question. I think we're seeing some fracturing on the Republican side, but like I said, the federal administration has not delivered on their promises of addressing costs. And I think people are looking for an alternative, and I am that alternative.
as you talked about, an alternative. How do you convince those people who have chosen not to go for that alternative in the past, in this special election where things have changed, it's an open seat, you're not looking at an incumbent, to give you a shot?
I feel like a broken record, but it's the message of affordability. And we've seen a transition from my Republican opponent from the primary, which was very pro-MAGA, to addressing the narrative of cost in his commercials. And like I said, this race has been about building the coalition of people who are upset with what's going on. And I hear more from those voters than I do those that are, doubling down on their position with President Trump.
Does new media play a bigger role in your campaign, social media, than probably previous campaigns, or television as much as you used to in previous political campaigns? You still have a mixture, but is social media going to be a bigger input?
Yeah, it's a great question. For the Democratic side, a lot of voters live online.
Yep.
They just do. And so we have definitely doubled down on our social media usage, making sure that we're across all platforms, and that I'm recording videos talking about the rising cost of living on these platforms, and we're reaching lots of voters. I mean, last night I was responding to TikTok comments from voters all across the district asking questions about where to early vote, and it takes that type of personalized intentionality on these social media platforms to reach voters.
30 seconds left. Tell the voters of the 7th District why they should vote for Aftyn Behn.
If you want someone to address the rising cost of living, if you are upset with the chaos of Washington, then I am your candidate. And I will work to feed kids, fix roads, and fund hospitals, and ensure that your health care is affordable.
State Representative Aftyn Behn, the Democratic nominee for the 7th Congressional District election in 2 weeks. It'll be here before we know it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Stay with us. This week continues in a moment. And welcome back to This Week. I'm pleased to be joined by West Point grad, Army veteran, and former commissioner for Governor Bill Lee of the Tennessee Department of General Services, now the Republican nominee for the 7th Congressional District, Matt Van Epps, Thank you and welcome.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Bob. I'm honored to be with you, excited to be here.
Whoever wins this race, this is a generational change for the Tennessee congressional delegation. With that in mind, there are two obvious choices. They're completely different folks for voters to choose from. What are you telling the folks who live in the 7th Congressional District? This is what I want to do for you in Washington to improve your lives.
Yes, sir. Well, to start, West Point grad, Army combat helicopter pilot, deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. And got back, worked in small business, served in state government, and still serving in the National Guard today. And so I think the background is well-rounded in leadership and boots-on-the-ground leadership. And so it brings that level of expertise and execution and in missions and objectives to this. As we've traveled across all 14 counties, and we were the first to get in the primary, and we've continued our work ethic and movement, there's a whole lot of things we've got to focus on. Affordability is top of mind for a whole lot of folks right now, and that includes increasing our supply for housing, for affordable housing. It is keeping taxes low, cutting regulations, ensuring that we get healthcare costs decreased, child care. Those are all really important as we've met with and talked to families and farmers, military veterans, law enforcement across our entire district.
This is an open seat. Cook Political has moved it from solid Republican to leaning Republican. President Trump won it by 22 points. Mark Green won it by 21. All the polls I've seen have you leading, but not by those numbers, by 10 to as little as 3. And that's not too surprising with no incumbency. Based on that, and based on Tennessee being a very conservative and Republican strong state, supermajority legislature, the governor's office, both Senate seats, 8 of 9 congressional districts, does this put more pressure on your campaign to help your party maintain that majority in the U.S. House?
Well, I don't think so. We're confident in our approach and our team, and I've just been so humbled to be endorsed by the president and Governor Lee. And even in addition to that, we were endorsed by over 40 local leaders in the primary across the district, from county mayors, highway superintendents, farmers, business leaders. And that outpouring of support is what we've taken forward to fight across our district. And I'm humbled and honored by all of that support, and that's what we're driving forward. And so we're in a good position, and we're asking our folks to come out and vote, and need their vote and support, and we're going to carry this forward to
You have
victory.
been endorsed by the governor and by President Trump. You said
Yes,
you
sir.
appreciate that endorsement. You have his back 100% of the time, and you'll be fighting side by side to put America first. Do you have any issues with any of the president's positions?
No, I'm fully supportive of the president and back him and look forward to fighting alongside him. We had a tele-rally last week,
Yep.
and we were really excited about that. Was honored to be on that. There was a whole lot of folks that joined us, and was honored to both introduce the president and then to spend a couple of minutes talking alongside him as well.
As you travel the district, what are you telling Tennessee farmers who live in your district? Because of the Trump tariffs, they've lost their soybean market of China. The state agriculture commissioner told me just this week this could be the worst year in Tennessee history for farmers, that every row crop is coming in at a loss because of the tariffs issues, that the president has talked about some kind of bailout. But these farmers don't want a bailout. They want their markets. What would you tell the president about these tariffs, and what are you telling farmers here about the impact, how we can save their family farms?
There will be no bigger supporter of farmers than me. Just a couple of weeks ago, met with over 40 farmers across our district together in a meeting. And I wanted to listen and hear, because I think that's really important to do. And row crop farmers are struggling. Yep. I think the president was right to negotiate the annual deal with China to open up China to soybean markets, but
that's not now.
It's not now, and it's and I think that's a part of the solution. But we've got to do more. And as we look at China, that's a consequential threat for us. They built the largest export terminal in Brazil, and they have a railroad that's going to Peru to get Brazil soybeans and products to market in China faster, to undercut us. So that's one component of this. And so I support the president and him opening up foreign markets to soybean farmers. But there's a whole lot else we've got to do. We've got to continue to invest in broadband cell phone towers so that farmers have the GPS signal for their advanced farm equipment. We've got to get rid of the death tax for farmers to make it easier to pass farms from one generation to the next. We've got to continue to invest and support 4-H and FFA programs so kids learn about the value that farmers have. And I'll fully stand with our farmers as we look for unique and innovative solutions to ensure that farms stay profitable.
Tennessee whiskey makers are facing the same problem because of the Trump tariffs on Canada. Now, the Senate voted to rescind those. The House has not yet, so they're still in place. Same message to the whiskey makers?
Same message is that the president is fighting really hard to ensure that we get fair trade, we stop getting ripped off, and that we open up markets. And I'll be there to stand with our producers, our farmers, our small businesses, and look forward to doing that.
Tennessee is leading the way in many ways in the electric vehicle industry. We have battery production plants. We produce EV cars. But the president has eliminated the EV incentives. And because of that, the market has pulled back. Due to that, Ford has announced it's eliminating its EV F-150. The Blue Oval City billion-dollar project could be in danger. What do you tell investors here in Tennessee in EV and the president about these incentives? Was it a good idea that he eliminated those? Should he look at maybe putting those back in place?
Well, the demand is just not there right now, and I think that's a big part to this. Ford is an amazing company. I look forward to working with Ford to ensure as they rethink their products and what they're going to do. And I don't fully know what that is yet, but it's an amazing company that we're proud to have in Tennessee, and I'll work along with them and their suppliers to ensure that we keep that robust industry thriving in Tennessee.
You've talked about health care and improving health care for Tennesseans. The Democrats wanted to expand the tax credits for health care. It did not pass Congress yet. It's still set to expire at the end of this year. Thousands of Tennesseans rely on these tax credits. Their premiums will go through the roof, maybe quadruple as much if they don't continue. How do you help them if the tax credits remain not in place so that they can afford to have health care and not go bankrupt?
Well, I think first the president and the speaker have signaled a willingness to negotiate there and to figure out how to drive down health care costs. And I think that's really important, and look forward to working alongside the president and the speaker there. I think a couple of other things. When we look to Clarksville, it's a great example of 2 new hospitals that have gone in that is a market-driven decision. And those hospitals are going to increase access, that'll increase care, decrease cost, and that's a private sector innovation and solution there. I think the other thing that we really have to take a strong look at is full transparency in both price and quality in healthcare. And I think when we do that, we also ensure we drive competition, and it's a consumer-based approach to that so that we all know the cost when we walk into a doctor's office ahead of time, and we can make informed decisions as consumers, and that'll help to increase competition, decrease costs, increase access.
With about 30 seconds left, what do you want to tell the voters of the 7th District about why Matt Van Epps should be their next congressman?
Absolutely. Well, I'm honored to serve. I've tried to build very strong teams in the past, and that's what this is. This is a team and a movement that we've built as a former special operations aviator, small business leader in state government, still serving in the National Guard. We're going to drive forward, ensure that we drive down costs for Tennesseans, that we support our families, our farmers, military veterans, small businesses. Was honored to be endorsed by NFIB, and we're going to stand with all of those folks and fight forward to complete this mission.
Are you hoping for a big voter turnout?
We are. We're hoping for, I ask our team to get out and vote. Need your vote and your support on December 2nd. Early voting's going now through November 26th. And excited to earn that support and fight forward to victory on December 2nd.
Matt Van Epps, the Republican nominee for the 7th District congressional race. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
Stay
so much.
with us. This week continues in a moment. I want to thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. That will do it for another edition of This Week. And remember, Election Day for this special election, Tuesday, December the 2nd, for the 7th District Congressional Special Election. I do want to thank my guests, 7th District Congressional candidate, Democratic nominee Aftyn Behn, and Republican candidate and nominee Matt Van Epps. We hope to see you back here next weekend for another edition of This Week. Between now and then, enjoy your week.